Hey everyone, we are less than a month away from D23, the Ultimate Fan Event, formerly known as the D23 Expo. And in case you're unaware, this is pretty much Christmas Day for Disney Park fans, because it's when the Disney brass will take to the stage to formally announce everything new coming to the Disney parks, resorts, and Disney Cruise Line. But this year is different for several really interesting reasons. First of all, the pandemic and the long road back from lockdown is finally over. There's no longer a reason or excuse for projects to be delayed. Secondly, this is the first D23 since Bob Iger returned to the role of CEO, and both he and Disney Parks Chairman Josh D'Amaro have been repeatedly emphasizing new investment into the Disney parks and in addition to the projects they have already announced. So the hype for this year's potential for announcements is at a level I haven't seen in years. Thirdly, both the venue and timing for this D23 Park Showcase has changed, and that's really important. For the first time ever, D23 is utilizing the Honda Center for its biggest panels and bombshell announcements, and that includes the Disney Parks Showcase. And it's also going to be held on Saturday. Last D23 in 2022, Saturday was reserved for Marvel Studios and Lucasfilm, while the Disney Parks panel was held on the last day of D23, which was on a Sunday. This year, Disney Parks has that Saturday slot. However, the panel won't begin until 7 p.m. And that's really surprising to me since at previous D23s, the big news was dropped in the morning. Also, you have to remember that this is in Anaheim, California, West Coast time. So 7 p.m. is actually pretty late on the East Coast, meaning Disney will have missed out on that day's news cycle. Maybe they're aiming to own the Sunday news cycle instead. I'm not really sure what the strategy is here with this, but it's definitely a departure from years past. Finally, this year is different because of Universal's Epic Universe. In terms of theme park news, right now, 2025 belongs to Universal, and there are some rumors that Universal plans to announce even more for Epic Universe and possibly their existing parks. So Disney needs to do something now in order to take back some of that momentum and be able to compete next year. So that's why you should be excited for D23. It's why I'm excited for D23. And yesterday, June 11th, Disney dropped the full or almost full schedule of D23 events, panels, presentations, and pavilions, along with a new piece of promo art for the Disney Park Showcase, which, by the way, will be called Horizons, the Disney Experience Showcase. And so I thought I would break down this piece of artwork with you because I think there are some Easter eggs or at least allusions to what Disney intends to announce. And I also want to point out which D23 pavilions and panels that Disney Parks fans need to know about and that may provide us with some additional news. So let's get into analyzing this piece, beginning with this side where you can easily see Big Thunder Mountain. The Beyond Big Thunder Mountain project was first announced at the 2022 D23, and while we know it's happening, what we don't know is what Imagineering has committed to. And while that news was expected for this D23, the fact that Big Thunder is taking up so much real estate on this art and that it's the only real attraction with a presence on this piece suggests to me that it's a signature part of Disney's announcements this year. Next, we have the Grauman's Chinese Theater, which is the icon of Disney's Hollywood Studios and the home of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. And no, I'm not expecting any news about that attraction, but I think the icon, the park icon being included on this artwork is supposed to tell us that Hollywood Studios will be getting an announcement or two. Next, we have a Mickey Water Tower, which used to be the icon for Hollywood Studios, but is still the icon for the Walt Disney Studios Park in Disneyland Paris, which we already know is getting both a name change and some new expansions. Looks like we're definitely going to hear more about that during the showcase. Now, I want to point out the two Disney Cruise Line ships. Given the investment Disney is putting into the Disney Cruise Line, I mean, they just announced another ship within the Wish class for Tokyo and that particular market. So I think Disney Cruise Line will be getting more attention than usual at this year's D23, and it's worth noting that the Disney Treasure will make its debut this December, and the Adventure, which is Disney's biggest ship to date, debuts in 2025. So be expecting further details about that. I now want to acknowledge the fact that there are 6 Disney castles in this picture because there are 6 Disney castles worldwide, meaning every Disney resort should be getting something during the showcase. We also have Animal Kingdom's Tree of Life, which is a likely nod to the Tropical Americas land that's set to replace Dino Land USA. We probably know the most about this project compared to others, but I think we could get some new concept art during the showcase and hopefully confirmation about what the Encanto experience is going to be. I think it's going to be a ride. We'll see if I'm right. And then we have DCA, or Disney California Adventures icon, here as well. I'm very curious about how they're going to handle the Disneyland announcements at D23 because we know they're about Disneyland Forward, and that project is still very much a mystery. So DCA's icon being here signals that Disneyland Forward likely connected to this park. Also, we are expecting more news about that King Thanos multiverse ride coming to Avengers Campus 2. Finally, I need to point out what's not here. Because of all the Disney World parks, only one is absent from this piece, and that's Epcot. Some Disney fans have speculated that Horizons is a nod to the popular Epcot attraction that was replaced by Mission Space, which was anything but a popular attraction, and that maybe there's some sort of surprise Epcot news we should be expecting. Maybe. I would like that, but if I'm being honest, I really don't think we'll get much news from Epcot apart from more an update and information about the new test track. Well, that is it for this Horizons Disney Experiences artwork. And now I want to get into which panels and pavilions may provide some additional news or that are simply worth prioritizing, because if you've been to D23 before, you know it's impossible to see and do everything. You need a plan. So I'm going to give you 5 recommendations that I suggest you look into if you're able to go to D23 and you want news. And my first recommendation is obviously Imagineering Behind the Dreams, which is AKA the Imagineering Pavilion. This is usually located on the D23 show floor, and it's where fans can check out models of upcoming rides, ride vehicles, they can see concept art, talk with Imagineers, and so on. It's an absolute must-do, and it's kind of a hub for Disney park news at this particular event. Next one is Bringing the Worlds of Disney Animation to Life in Disney Parks. This is going to be a panel featuring Imagineers and those from Walt Disney Animation, and they're going to talk together about how they bring animated worlds into the parks with a special focus on Tiana's Bayou Adventure, Fantasy Springs at Tokyo Disney Sea, Zootopia at Shanghai Disneyland, and the World of Frozen at Hong Kong Disneyland. And the reason I'm mentioning this panel is because we recently learned that Tiana's Bayou Adventure is a sequel to The Princess and the Frog, but also a prequel to the upcoming Tiana Disney Plus series, where I've speculated that the ride, as well as Tiana's foods, the Salt Dome, and maybe even the animals may play a role in the show. And I think we could find that out at this panel. I also think there is a chance for some news, or at least a tease, about Animal Kingdom's upcoming Zootopia show, which will be replacing It's Tough to Be a Bug, as well as a new Frozen Land. And that's because a new Frozen Land is rumored for Disneyland. And since all of these Imagineers and animators have to be working on all those projects now, we could get something. But circling back on Tiana for Disney Plus, here's a little bonus panel recommendation for you. There will be a Disney Princess panel focused on Tiana on Sunday, which includes the director of that series. So news is highly likely there as well. Number 3, the third D23 experience I want to mention takes place at the Disney Plus Pavilion and is a meet and greet with Bluey and Bingo from Bluey. This will happen all 3 days of the event, and I have thoughts about this and what it means for the parks that I plan to discuss in a future video, so stay tuned for that. But I do think having a Bluey meet and greet is significant at this D23. Number 4, my next suggestion is another meet and greet, but this time with a Disney concept artist, Greg Pro, who you're probably a fan of but didn't even know it. Greg Pro is responsible for designing the original Tiana's Bayou Adventure concept art, the one with the boat and the tree and Tiana in her blue dress, and in that boat of fireworks. He also made the concept art for New Fantasyland back in 2012, Hollywood Studios' Toy Story Land, the Epcot redo, and he also made posters for the Galactic Star Cruiser, which, whether or not you like that experience, you can't deny the posters are fantastic. So yeah, you get to meet Greg Pro. He'll likely have some of his new art on display, and fingers crossed, maybe some concept art from some announcements. We'll just have to see. And then number 5, my last recommendation is the Disney Legends in Conversation panel. And this is where fans can hear the new class of Disney Legends talk about their careers. And one of those new legends this year is Imagineer Joe Rohde. And if you haven't heard, Joe Rohde is somewhat back at Imagineering in a mentor or advisor capacity, but I can't imagine he wouldn't somehow be involved with some upcoming Disney park projects. Maybe I'm just hoping that's the case, who knows, but we could find out what he's up to during this Legends Discussions panel, and maybe he'll have a little bit of news to share. Well, that is all I have for now, but more D23 content is coming to this channel, including predictions and announcement rumors for Disney World, Disneyland, and Disney Cruise Line. But if you love Disney Parks news, if you found this video helpful in any way, I would so appreciate if you would consider liking and subscribing. But regardless, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a magical day.